thank you for having us. And my name is Nicolai Vielwerth. I am an animation director, freshly educated from the National Danish Film School. I graduated this summer, and with my graduation project, which is a TV series called Space Ham, I now participate in Void and also try to create this TV series as a whole series and a whole season together with a production company called Klassefilm and Minicosmos in Copenhagen, and also with a French co-producer called Dandelou.
I'm Farzaneh, director and producer of the short film Song Sparrow. I moved to Denmark in 2009 to pursue my education. I have a bachelor in industrial design from University of Tehran, Iran, my home country. And here in Denmark, I did a master's in design and innovation at DTU, and I finished my PhD in design and mechanical engineering also at DTU. And since my graduation in 2015, I have been only focused on writing, creating puppets, and making films with my puppets. Song Sparrow, my second short film, which is about immigration, like my first film. The film is based on the real event that happened in 2015 in Austria and later again in 2019 in Ireland. In the first incident, 71 refugees were found dead in the back of a refrigerated lorry, and in the second event also a number of refugees died in the back of a truck in Ireland. So generally the film is about hope, life, love, wishes, and sometimes the hopes that sometimes turn into despair.
One project is very artistic and the other one is like more commercially aimed. So in light of your experience and intention with your films, can you please tell us about your approach of producing these films in Denmark? Farzaneh, if you start.
You might see the film as a co-production of Denmark and Iran, and you might say that, okay, it's the country of origin is Denmark and the crew are Iranian, and maybe the distributor is from somewhere else. But actually, it's not quite like that. Almost half of the crew in my film were based in Denmark. They are Iranian Danish people who are living in Denmark, and the project was financed here in Denmark. Also, I myself did the distribution, the world distribution, and only for the festivals in Italy, I had a Italian distributor, to deal with the Italian festivals, and for the rest of the world, I managed to do the submission and distribution. So, as I mentioned before, I wanted to make this film, which was about immigration, and I wanted to really do my best in creating this film and project. So I also was independent, so I had to finance the budget and everything in the project. So I decided to do kind of co-production and use my budget in a way that I can have the best out of that. And as you know about Iranian cinema, we have a really well-known cinema in Iran and films. So there are wonderful cinematographers and editors, sound designers, and etc. in Iran. So considering the fact that I had no network and educational background here in Denmark, and my budget was limited, so I was also limited in my choices. So and I, as a producer, wanted to have top professional people engaged in this project. So, and I could not actually afford the top people in Denmark and also the equipment. So I decided to move the production phase to my home country, Iran, and so that I can involve really professional expert crew members. And I also also some kind of equipment, such as, for example, ARRI Alexa and master prong lenses and so on.
I was lucky to have a producer on my team who helped me a lot. And I think one of my experiences now, my project was a school project to begin with. And in that way, there was also attached some very small budget to it that we could use. And now when we're going to do the full season, then we have to up the budget and go try and get the funds from the Danish DFI and stuff like that, or other places. And I just, from the summer when I stopped at the film school, I've been trying to figure out all these ways. I already started a little bit before because I knew I wanted to do this with the TV series and stuff and the full season and get the money. But it's a pretty big leap from sitting and trying to figure out how to tell a story, which has been my specialty and my concern all along. And then take that leap to jump into, but how is that going to be possible? And where does the money come from? And that's why I think it's so impressive that you actually did it, Farzaneh, because it takes some guts to do, and a lot of I think in Denmark I'm still figuring it out, and I have people to help me. Fortunately, I have my two producers, Lise Saxstrup and Henrik Danstrup, who was really, really nice and helps me out, like looking for money, and knows the directions and knows the people, fortunately, also.
How did you enter the industry? Like, were you contacted by the producers, or did you pitch it? And tell a bit about the process, please.
I had some plans. I had some ideas, which was, for instance, we had a small day of industry at the film school, where I tried to. I printed these books with my project. Now you can also see my project, but and it's a concept book, with a lot of ideas and how we did it and characters and all that kind of jazz, and I put them on the tables and I tried to get the attention of, because there would be a lot of producers there as well, and I had my eye on a few that I knew made the content like this, like the Space Ham. So I was like, oh, you, I really want to talk with you, and then one morning, Lise Saxstrup from Classifilm called me and was like, we saw your show and we saw the book and we have it here, and I showed it to my daughter and she was wild about it and it was amazing. So now my daughter says I need to call you, and then
that's a approval.
Yeah, and that's actually, that meant a really big deal to me, because what I love is not to have the industry like it, but have my audience like it, if that makes sense. I actually, while I started that talk with Classifilm, I already put my I sent my application to it's called Cartoon Springboard, and I was lucky enough to get Space Ham in there, and it was accepted, and I went. It was supposed to be in Valencia, but it was in my
Corona times, so
living room.
Almost the same.
Yes,
the same.
Yes, I guess. No, of course that was unfortunate, but it was still, they actually did a really good job in made one feel part of it, and you really got a lot of connections, and I really hang out with many of the applicants monthly now. We have a Discord server, it's called, where we talk, and it was just that, if you could take something out of it was so valuable, because now I have talks about gender equality in the industry and diversity in both behind the scenes, but on the canvas of your films while filmmaking, and it's so giving, just that.
I know that you have a bachelor degree from the art school of in Tehran, but are your crew from that school, or how did you find your people?
So I simply Googled the top 10 people.
Really?
And I, because I'm a researcher, so I monitored all the things, and I investigated all the things, all the works that they have done, and I was so careful and carefully picked the ones that I was looking for. Especially, I was really conservative about selecting a cinematographer, because I make the things myself. I make the and everything is out of puppet and textile and fabric. So I really wanted to show the colors and the textures and everything in a really good way. So the really expert and professional people have really tight a schedule, so you have to sometimes wait for them to finish a project.
I read an article where you and your fellow students talked about the hierarchy at the National Film School of Denmark, and you described yourself as the underdogs.
I think for me, animation is just allows for more freedom. It works really well together with my brain, as I have experienced. Also, I think where I started telling stories was verbally, and there was a lot of imagination involved, and you could definitely take that into live action as well, without a problem. But for me, it really just worked so easy together with animation. It was almost not a question for me to when I started out. And then also there is this thing with animation where the hand, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but the handwork or the handcraft, the craft work, the craft, thanks, is I really love that, and I really, especially the 2D drawing type. I think also the puppeteering and all that kind of work is super amazing. And there's so many, just that in itself is an art form, and I really love it. I really love to watch it happen, like in the production. And I'm going to be in the production, so I need to love it, I guess. Not only the story, but also being a part of making it. So I think that would be why I chose animation. The craft mixed with the possibility of imaginative storytelling and world building.
It says that it's 2D animation and live animation.
Kind of.
What like to like what is the proper term for that?
It's real time.
Real time. There it is. Thank you. Can you please tell a bit about that?
Yes, I can. It is real time animation in that way that all the backgrounds are made in a game engine. So what people usually use to make computer games and like games for other platforms, I used as a tool to create backgrounds for the animation, and it was super cool to work with. It was almost like adult Lego. Lego is also kind of for adults, you know. but some Lego are, but always. But it was super cool to work with and super fun to play with, because you could just. I tend to go really much into the world building part of like the creating my stories, and with this tool, you could actually build your whole world. So I built the living room for my two characters, and I built their kitchen and how it was attached to the living room, and I built their like own sleeping quarters and how that was attached to the whole thing, and then the outside, and then the whole island, and then just on and on and on. And in the end, I was like, well, now it's just to set the camera, and then it's completely like in real life. I can walk around inside their house and put the cameras up, and then I can draw on top of it. Just take a picture, just for like the quick sense, snap it, and then I can just sketch on top of it and say, does this work? And I can change the lighting and change the weather if I want to, and everything. And that's there's even more freedom, I would say, almost than real life, actually, because you can move the sun if you want to, and then that's just it. You can do everything in there. We designed the whole project to be animated in all the characters to be animated in Toon Boom. Because of the animators we used, and we chose to do it in TV Paint, which is another style of animation, but it was still designed to be Toon Boom. And then we just went on ahead, and they could just see the backgrounds all the time and say, oh, there's a sofa here. So
what are your thoughts on choosing to do this short film with puppets instead of shooting it with actors, like live action?
So by using puppets instead of real actors and human beings, I actually wanted to emphasize that, like the puppets that I use in the film, many of us are limited in many ways and many aspects. So okay, we make choices in our everyday lives, but the things that matters in our lives and the choices that could define our life trajectory are limited. So I would say maybe we are just sometimes we are just observers in the flow of events. So I wanted to show this by having puppets. The puppets that are not able to move freely and are actually limited to minimum movements, such as blinking, or even the facial mimicry of the puppets are fixed with change. So on the other side, we all played with dolls as children. We considered dolls as living kids. They were our playmates. So we're not used to seeing the dolls dead. So our dolls became sick in our playground shows, but they have always been healthy and good looking. So we have a kind of emotional connection with the dolls. And it is hard for us to see them dead or suffering, especially when we see them. They have no self-defense, and they are unable to change their lives or anything to reach their, for example, justice. So I think this makes the story even sadder.
I see your film as like not satire, but very powerful, like criticism of what's going on in the world right now.
I think many of us in the world, especially in the modern world, do not have any effective control on our lives more than the puppets. So puppets develop their metaphorical sense as people who are controlled by a more powerful person or a group, for example. So puppets have been playing in shows and theater as the kind of object which can be manipulated by the will of the creator, for example. So whenever ordinary people wanted to say something, wanted to object against a rule or an event happening in their land, instead of shouting and complaining, sometimes they tend to convey their messages or things that they had in mind, and criticize the governors through the puppets and making satire and sarcasm. So that way, I think animation or the puppets in general are really good means or tools to transfer a message that you have in your mind, or as a tool to object or to complain or to protest or whatever. So it's a great tool.
Can you tell a bit about like the how long time you spent on this film, and was it like hundreds of trees and flowers? And
I did the pre-production phase here in Denmark, so I made the puppets, I made a huge part of the set. And I had to move them to another country. So the puppets are so big compared to, for example, those ones that are used in stop motion.
Mm-hmm.
They're around 70 centimeter high. So imagine all the sets are so huge. So I had to manage it in a way to be able to move the truck, also having all the big puppets in a truck. So I had to make like two versions, one small and one real size for that puppet.
Damn.
So I made the puppets here, all of them, and a huge part of the set also here. I packed them in luggages and moved them to travel with those luggages to Iran. And I dismantled all the sets and built them again, and also add some more, like 700 flowers and like 200-300 small houses and a lot of trees, really big and really small. So it was a mess.
Did you ever experience them breaking or anything? I'm just jumping in here. But
I was supposed to move to a studio to shoot the film. So in one of the scenes, I had a mountain. So I started making the mountain in my home, in our place, in my home studio in Tehran. So and I just forgot that I have to take this mountain out of the door. So
oh no.
No.
The mountain was so big. So at the end, I realized, okay, there is no way to take and carry this mountain out of home. So I had to do that part also in my home studio. So everything was so challenging in making Song Sparrow. Also the fact that it was I was experiencing something new. Apart from experiencing a new field, this kind of animation or film was also new, and I didn't have any reference to learn from. So I had to do anything from scratch. So it was based on try and error.
But producing and directing and building everything yourself, that's a lot of hats to wear.
You know, as a producer, you have to take care of the financial and business side of the project. And as a director, you have to deal with the creative part, creative side and creativity. So it's so difficult when you are both, because at the same time, your brain have to deal with two totally different things. So if you are only director, you can just focus on directing and the artistic side and spend your energy and your time in just directing and the creativity. But being a businessman and artist is not normally something that fits together, so it is difficult. But on the other side, when you are a director, also the producer, so you're the owner of the project, so it's your own baby, and the first achievement and the first success brings you double joy and happiness. So in that case is good. First phase of this Corona situation, the first lockdown, I decided to do a little experimental film using my puppets, also because I didn't have any access to the rest of the crew, like especially cinematographer, to shoot the film. So I decided to combine the 3D world, the 3D environment with the puppets in a way. So I made a very short film, a 4-minute film, sitting here in my apartment, and with the distance cooperation with some other people in Brazil and from Canada to UK, Iran to Denmark. So we made it. But now I'm focusing on the pre-production of my next short film, which is going to be around 15 minutes, again with the same technique and with the puppets. I'm making the puppets and the set, and still no concrete plan for the production because of many things. First of all, because of Corona, and again because of the knowledge and network that I talked in the beginning. So unless a really nice producer or investor or sponsor steps in, I'm gonna experience the same process. So yeah.
And have any of you tried using Kickstarter, for instance? Have you experienced with that? Like you can talk directly to the audience.
I did a Kickstarter with Mikkel Mainz, who was part of Sun Creature and then left to make his own new company called Skjal, and then he to kickstart that in a sort of way. He made this. He had this show called Tales of Elithrion, which he also used to start Sun Creature together with the other guys that created Sun Creature. And now he wanted to use the season 2 to create his new company. And that actually was a success. And he has the company now and did the first episode of the season 2, and did also a lot of other like in between small episodes. And it was amazing. It's really, really fun to do Kickstarter, but it's also really, really time consuming and energy consuming, of course. And also it's hard if you don't have a budget to begin with. So I would recommend having something, because you need, while doing the Kickstarter, what is the budget for that? And people tend to forget that they actually, you're sitting and waiting and it's not even sure that you will get it through, right? And I think you should try it, definitely. But it's good to have something to do a while doing it.
What do we need in Denmark in order to keep making great art? Like, in your opinion, in order to produce, in order to make films and live at the same time?
That is a hard question. I don't know if I even have the answer. I think it would be nice to have more like what you call it, development money, and that the rules for that were a bit easier to get into. But that's also, I think it's really hard to say, because I'm in the beginning of my development, and it's actually going pretty well. We're getting a lot of interest from a lot of places, but so I can't really say it's hard yet, if you get what I mean. But you know, I'm still pretty confused. I can say that honestly, and it could be nice with some good guidance and maybe some places to go and get guided. Something that goes a long way, and you can only hope to meet people like that. But is to find honest people to work with, and fortunately there's a lot in the animation industry, which is lucky. But it's good to have honest people that you actually can feel safe asking about stupid questions. As I said, I actually feel that I know quite a lot about the industry, like at this point, but I at the same time I feel so confused all the time, and I think many do, and if we are open about that, then we can share the knowledge and don't feel stupid about it. And I think that's important, and that's why our industry is pretty good.
Thank you so much for a lovely talk. It was very interesting talking to you and hear all your thoughts on the industry and on your film.